This episode is the first part of an extended interview in which we discuss the road to the 2012 elections with Communist Party Political Action Commission Chair Joelle Fishman. So stay with us.
Progressive Podcast Network. ProgressivePodcastNetwork.org.
The 2012 elections may be 18 months away, but it's time now to organize for a people's victory. Labor has declared its independent role in the fight to defeat the Republicans at the polls in November 2012. In the portion of this interview that follows, Joelle Fishman, chair of the Communist Party's Political Action Commission, explains some of the issues at stake and the need to organize now to sweep the Republicans out of power. Could you start by giving a brief overview of what is at stake this time?
When we look at 2012, it can only be in the context of this ferocious class war that's going on, an attempt to completely do away with the unions, with workers' rights altogether, and as it affects the community. The legislative process is at the center of this whole class war, and that's obvious in the states as well as in the Congress. And what's so significant, of course, is the tremendous outpouring, starting with Wisconsin and moving from there, of engagement to say enough is enough and we're not going to be pushed back to the Middle Ages or whatever. The balance of power coming out of 2012 will either strengthen the hand of the corporate forces and the reactionary forces, Tea Party, Republican, etc., or it will enable labor and what we call the core forces, the African American, Latino, Asian American, Native American, women, youth, etc., to be in a stronger position. In other words, are we going to be still in a situation of fighting to stop everything from being taken away, or will we be in a position of putting forward a positive agenda going forward? So it's another election where the stakes are high. I hesitate to use this about this is a historic election and that's a historic election, because in a way every election in these times is. But clearly the stakes are extremely high.
What are some first steps our listeners can take on the road to election 2012?
There are a number of pilot projects around the country that are taking the methodologies that labor in particular has developed and used in election periods to use all year round, or to use in reference to specific legislation and not just a candidate, or to use in reference to changing the balance in a city and actually elect labor union stewards and neighborhood activists to local office. Of course, in Ohio, the whole repeal campaign is at a very high level, a huge momentum there, at least as high-pitched as during the elections, if not even more so. And I'm very excited about the approach that Richard Trumka, the president of the AFL-CIO, opened up recently, I believe, at the Executive Council, in which he talks exactly about labor's independence in terms of how to get results, how to be able to stand up against the huge onslaught of the corporate money and the Tea Party and all of this anti-working class ocean, is to build up the political structure of labor. And of course this has been going on over a period of time, but I think it's reached a new level now in which he's saying that no, the money won't be going to candidates or parties. It's going to build up labor's political action structure to educate members on the issues and get out the vote on those issues, but to stay in action beyond the election on a 365-day-of-the-year basis. So I guess what I'm trying to emphasize is that it is well understood by those who are the brunt of this class war, that the 2012 election is already well underway, and that everything that's done now in those states like Wisconsin and Ohio, and to repeal legislation or recall elected officials, but in every state to activate on issues and register to vote and be prepared ideologically for 2012 is a necessity. Then, of course, the Obama campaign itself understands this as well, and so they already have put their structures into place and are acting accordingly. But we of course, we know that on the other side the same thing is happening.
How would you assess the current state of the labor and people's movement organizing for the elections and for political action?
I think that in assessing what's happening now and looking forward to 2012, it's necessary to both expose how we got here and the stand that the Republican leadership is taking, so that it's well understood what we're up against, as well as putting forward positive initiatives. And I heard my own Congresswoman, Rosa DeLauro. She was just so passionate in regard to what the proposals are, what they really mean. No, it's not just changing Medicare, it's the end of Medicare. And she was recalling how the Republicans utilized the congressional town hall meetings to spew a lot of lies and create fear about health care reform, talking about death panels and other things that were not true. And she was saying, but this is true. This isn't even an exaggeration when we talk about doing away with Medicare, placing the budget in a way that would do that, and as well as Social Security. Now, the attempt to eliminate unemployment compensation, it's a wholesale thing. There's no humanity whatsoever in what this Republican leadership is doing. So that's what we're up against. I think people feel it. They understand it. We're up against the Citizens United decision that the Supreme Court made, which allowed all this huge gush of last-minute TV ads to be poured into close races in 2010 without any attribution as to where the money came from or who the ads were representing. And so, of course, that will be taking place once again. We're up against the issue of redistricting, and now with a number of Republican governors that were elected, how those districts will be drawn. But we also have some positive elements, and one of them is the changing nature of the electorate itself, a big increase in the Latino vote, a big increase in the youth vote, and then this tremendous campaign of the labor movement, not only looking at what it can do, but looking at building a movement and using that language and reaching out to civil rights like was done on April 4th, and reaching out to community at the local and national level. So this is what we have on our side.